Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on when you get to watch this video. This is the part two of the story we started last week. If you are just watching me for the first time and you didn't get to see the part one, scroll down and you will see the part one of the story. So we're going to continue now. We stopped when I was talking about how they came back together. So they came back together and the relationship started all over again. He was abroad this time around and she was in her country. So the relationship, distance relationship tend to be sweeter because they have to be writing stories. How are you? I miss you. When people are together, they never know the value of it until they are separated. So they will write. So they were so much in love. That love was still there. But even with the distance, they still got to always argue about stuff. The girl, you know, had a very pure heart. Let me say that. She was ready to give away everything to make sure her relationship with the guy works out. Why the guy, left, and it was like he found another life there. When you've not traveled abroad, you won't really know that there are two different lives from, living in Africa and then um, traveling out abroad. So the guy went abroad, he wasn't, he didn't come, at least, I think he said, for the first 2 years that he traveled. So the girl who had already vowed to herself that only her husband will be the one to sleep with her. So she had never slept with any man. She had never slept with any man. So she kept herself all this while. There were men coming, flocking around her, anywhere she goes, but she never gave up. She was waiting for him. So he had gone and, had challenges. When somebody gets abroad, before you fit into the system, then begin to work and think of how to bring somebody to join you. So he had told me that once he gets there, he starts working, he will come and pick her up. So they were there like that. And but the relationship there was still something not right. It wasn't still adding up. But this the girl, like I said in part one, that they always like the devil is better than the angel you don't know. So maybe by the time they come together, things will change, everything will be okay. So they started like that. But the lady had a lot of suitors. People were coming to ask her hand in marriage, because she was still in school, finished school, went for her internship. People were coming left, right, and center. But she turned everybody down because her heart was already sold out to this guy. And the guy, on the other hand, was just doing his own stuff abroad. They get to get in touch. Sometimes when they get misunderstanding, they will not talk for a very long time and then later they will settle. It was just still this off and on thing. People advised this lady, since he has traveled now, just find your life. Can't you see you are miserable? When he was around, you were miserable. Now he has gone. You people are still together, but your life is still miserable. So when do you think it's better? But she was so afraid of, like, if I leave him now, where will I start? Now start loving somebody else. So she was this kind of person. Once she gives her heart to somebody, she's unable to love somebody else. You know, at times, ladies this time around, like, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So you just get to love one man, love the other one, and in case this one doesn't work, I have another one, as a reservoir. But these girls don't know. Once she's in love with one guy, she doesn't even want to hear anything from anybody else. It's like she just seals her heart, and that is it. So other people that came in spoke to her, wanted to, like, can we? She would just tell them, I'm engaged, I'm engaged. But deep down inside of her, she knew that this engagement wasn't really, you know, working. But because of that, her naive kind of life, she didn't really have a social life, like going out to meet with the outside world. No, she was just this house church school, house church school. That was her person. They continued this way. Let's cut a long story short. She now finished from school. She now got to do her internship and traveled to another city from her own city. She went to another state and went there to do her internship. So they were still dating. The guy, write her, send her some things at times, and she wasn't this materialistic person. She wasn't looking for anything, like these people who say, oh, my husband is abroad or my boyfriend is abroad, and they'll be expecting more. She didn't care. She just, like, whatever he gave her, she was satisfied with it. And so he now, like, okay, fine, I'm coming over, let's come and do the wedding. So he came over, they got to do the wedding, and then he left. Even all that time they did the wedding, I think after the wedding, he stayed for like a month or two and left. But after the wedding, when he came for the wedding, the lady saw so much changes in him. They were in church together, with that kind of belief. And then, but this guy came from abroad, he started behaving, you know, like like he was an unbeliever or something. They still went to church, he still did his church thing. But all that, you know, going around doing things, drinking, there were a lot of things he was now doing that he wasn't doing when he was in Nigeria. So, and this lady will ask her, why you are changed? You have changed. Why are you? You will say, go, because you are here. You don't know anything. Don't worry. We'll get married. I'll take you abroad. You see that it's not this kind of life people are living. So I was just, I was the lady like, well, let's see how it goes. But because he has already come and, they've done the wedding, but the misunderstanding was still continuous. This lady inside of her knew that they were supposed to, that marriage wasn't supposed to be. But she just still went ahead. And, she told me something like, when they were getting married, he always wanted what he wanted, and the lady had to dance to his tune. It's either you do it my way or you leave it. So the lady was always bending, knowing like, okay, fine, he's the man. So whatever it is, I can always cope. And so she was just coping with things that she wasn't supposed to cope with. They got married, and her life became worse. Let's just put it like that. It became worse. The situation became worse because now he had a control over her. They are married. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Different kind of things. She didn't have her life anymore. Her life was taken away from her. And she started noticing his kind of movements that were not right. But what would she do? She was just there. She was inside. And she said on her wedding day, while they were getting married, because of the doubt, she had this doubt inside of her. Ladies, that's why when a lady would tell you, no, I didn't know if I had known. No, there is always a knowing. You will know inside of you. It's just because you refuse to listen to the voice. If you listen to that inner voice, you will know. Don't say I chose him because I didn't know. You know. There is a way our inner spirit will let us know that this thing is not right. You must get the sign. It's just that we silence that voice because of what we want. You know, when you really want something deeply, you don't want to hear any other voice apart from that one that you want. So she knew that she wasn't supposed to really go into this marriage, but she still went ahead. She still went ahead. And she said when they were getting married, she was on her wedding gown, everything. As they were sitting down, she said she was going through the aisle. She was still praying like, God, if you know it is not your will for me to marry, because she was really, really deep in this Christianity, you know, all these extremists, that if you really know that it is not your will for me to get married to this guy, just let me die. Let me just fall down here and die, or let something just happen. That was how far the doubt she had inside of her, the kind of voice she was hearing inside of her, for her to know. Because if a lady on her wedding day, everybody had already gathered, she's wearing her wedding gown, was still praying, because all the prayers were supposed to have been done before you even accepted the guy that you will marry him. After you've accepted that you are wedding, you are still praying that God should just let you die. God's not going to kill anybody because he wants to prove that he said no or he said yes. So that was how she was praying. Father, please let something just happen. If it is not your will. And nothing happened. She still went ahead and she married him. And her life became worse. Do you want to hear what now happened to this girl? Follow me on part 3. Follow me on part 3. And then you will get to know. The story is a whole lot. It's a whole lot. You will not want to miss any part. So follow me, invite your friends. We'll get to hear part 3. Part 3 is coming out soon. Take care and have a nice day, have a nice night, and have a nice rest.